Hello and welcome to episode 1. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Sabrina.
And this is Bloodline.
Welcome to our first episode of Bloodline. Since this is our first episode, we kind of want to give an introduction, a little bit about each of ourselves personally, and then kind of what we have, what our vision is for this podcast. So to start off, I'm Sabrina. I am 24, almost 25, and I am currently a psychology grad student studying to be a licensed therapist.
And I'm Lauren. I'm Sabrina's sister. I'm 21 years old, and I'm currently studying arts management. I studied photography for 2 years, and then I said bye. So now I'm studying arts management, and yeah, I'm an artist. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, so the reason why we decided to call this podcast Bloodline is because A, it's about true crime, and B, we're related, so it's a little play on words there. But we both really love true crime. We were talking a little bit before we started recording about how our dad always watched Criminal Minds when we were younger, so I feel like we got into that show, and we're both obsessed with that show. And we both just started really loving true crime, and we talk about it all the time. We listen to Dateline a lot and watch true crime shows all the time, so...
The first really big podcast, experience we both had was with Up and Vanished.
Oh, yeah. True.
And I remember, being obsessed with that. And, you're the one who made me, listen to it, which is so weird because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah, true.
But, yeah, so I think... And now we both just listen to as much as we can pretty much find.
Yeah, I literally listen to it now, when I'm working. I'll listen to, Dateline.
Yeah, I listen to it always, 24/7.
Yeah, I, watch Forensic Files, before bed, and...
I like to put on Forensic Files when I'm about to take a nap because I like the guy's voice and it relaxes me.
Yeah, me too. It lulls me to sleep.
What the fuck? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have terrifying nightmares, and then I wake up and I'm like, that was a bad idea, and then I just do it again the next night.
And then you do it again. Yeah, precisely. Okay. Okay. Well, I guess we can probably start talking about what we're going to be going over today then.
Oh yeah, really quick. I wanted to say that the format for the podcast, what we're going to do is each week, one of us will present a case and the other one will just listen and respond. So we'll just switch off each episode. This week, Lauren is going to start and present a case, and then next week I will go and then just switch off back and forth.
And Sabrina doesn't know any, she hasn't read the notes or anything, so she doesn't know anything about this really.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be like that for most of them as far as, I'm not going to know what the cases that she's talking about unless I, know about them already, but I sound like I'm going to know all the details. So we're not sharing our notes with each other so that we can have more of a genuine reaction.
I'm excited.
So today's case that we're talking about is the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. That's what it's known as. So, I mean, we've all seen those classic, remote summer camp scary movies, pretty classic, but I feel like a take on that trope that's not so common is a camp that takes place at a Girl Scout camp. I don't know about you, but I've never seen a scary movie, that takes place at a Girl Scout camp, or even, has anything to do with Girl Scouts. I'm sure that's a thing, but, I just feel like there's always all of these summer camp, stereotypical things, but there's never been, a Girl Scout one. It's never really crossed my mind.
Yeah, I feel like I could see it, with Boy Scouts. I feel like maybe there's been stuff with that, but yeah, not Girl Scouts.
Yeah, so I guess maybe the reason why is because this actually happened in real life, so, they're we don't need to make a movie, it's just real, it happened.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, literally.
Ugh.
So, today, the story begins in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was 1977, and this was at a Girl Scout camp named Camp Scott, which, let me just say, first of all, when I was researching this case, I just kept getting pissed off that it was called Camp Scott, because if it was a Girl Scout name, why wouldn't you name it after a woman's name?
Yeah. And why would you pick Scott of all man's names?
Yeah, who's Scott? Who's Scott, though?
They were like
but
trying
anyways,
to play off Scout.
Oh, maybe. I don't fucking know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I hate it regardless. But yeah, so that April, they held a weekend-long training session for the camp counselors. So the camp counselors would come for a weekend and just kind of like get a little briefing of everything going on. So it was like their little training.
And what year was this in? I'm sorry.
This was in 1977.
Okay.
So like late 70s. But the weekend in April when they were all going for the training for the counselors, it ended up getting cut short and they were sent home because one of the camp counselors found that their cabin had been broken into, which, like, yikes. And she basically got back into her cabin and, well, cabin, if you can even call it that. It's more like just like a tent. Mm-hmm. But it had been ransacked, basically. And the most notable thing that was found was actually inside of an empty donut box. And my favorite part about this is that the girl whose tent it was said that there were donuts left in the box when she, like, left her tent. So, like, whoever broke into the tent just, like, stopped mid-crime to, like, eat the rest of the donuts. Which, like, I love that. But anyways, that's not really the point. The point is, they found a note in the box. And the note was, like, 4 or 5 sheets from, like, a tiny little notebook.
And it was like, sorry, I ate your donuts.
Yeah, you wish, bro. It literally just said kill. Just kill, over and over. Oh. So on the first 2 or 3 pages was just the word kill written over and over and over, okay? And then on the last sheet, this is the kicker. The last note said, quote, "We are on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1," end quote.
Oh my god.
And then at some point later in the note, okay, there's no, like, photographs of the note or anything. You can't find it anywhere online, but at some point, apparently later in the note, the guy also mentions Martians.
What?
So, he was like he loved aliens, I guess. But yeah, so the camp counselor who found it was like, what the fuck? So then she, like, quickly went to the camp director, obviously, and was like, yo, look at this shit. And the camp director was like, yeah, I'll look into it, whatever. But, like, it wasn't really looked into, okay? So, like, I mean, they did get sent home, but it was probably only, like, a day earlier, like, half a day early, because they were only there for a weekend anyway.
And it was just the counselors that were there at this time? Like, no kids were there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was just the counselors and, like, the directors and, like, the staff, probably. But later, apparently, one of the girls who was also there as a camp counselor claimed that, like, she was the one who wrote it and left it in the tent. But they never, like, confirmed this. I mean, there's really no way to, like, confirm or deny that, I guess.
Yeah.
But one of the girls apparently did come forward and be like, it was just a joke, like, I did it. And so they never really...
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. So the camp director was like, it was just a prank, so, like, they just threw the note away, and it wasn't taken, like, seriously at all. So, then, like, later on, at some point when the camp director was being interviewed, someone was like, the interviewer was like, do you think the note was, like, actually a prank, or that it was, like, a legitimate warning? Because obviously we know that some murders end up happening here.
Yeah.
And the camp director said, quote, "If it was a prank, it was a pretty extreme measure. And the paper the note was written on was dirty and worn, as if it had been carried around in someone's pocket for several weeks. It's just hard to know," end quote. Which, like, that's literally saying, like, you're telling them why it shouldn't have been taken as a prank, but you're the one who said it was a prank.
Yeah. I guess
so I'm just like,
2020, bitch. But, like,
yeah.
So I'm just clarifying here. The girl that said it was a prank, she said that, like, around the same time that they sent everyone home, right? And she was like, oh, it's a prank, so then that's why they brought people back, right? It wasn't, like, down the line, like, years later, she was like, it was me. Okay.
No,
okay.
Yeah, it was, like, I mean, they might have had sent the people home already, and then, like, a day later, she, like, came forward. There's really no, like, specific timeline, and a lot of this, that's another thing I wanted to mention, a lot of this case is, like, hearsay, kind of, because it happened in the 70s, first of all. Second of all, we just kind of have to go based on what people say, like, who were there, which I guess is, like, every case, but, like, a lot of times there's stuff to back that up, like, videos or, like, DNA or, like, fingerprints and stuff like that. But, like, with stuff like this, for example, the note wasn't kept, so it's not like we can do, like, a handwriting comparison to the girl or, like, anything like that. So it's hard to know how much of this is, like, did she really write the note, or was she just saying that?
Yeah.
Did anyone even come forward and say that? It's, like, hard to know. Or did the camp counselor or the director just say, oh, some girl told me that she wrote it just to, like, brush it under the rug?
Yeah. And make it,
because it's not like they ended up...
kind of, like, justify her reasoning for bringing people back.
Right. Yeah. So, like, that's kind of what I feel like, because they never mentioned the girl's name who claimed that she's the one who wrote it. That's not mentioned, like, anywhere online. And it's not like they have any, like, quotes from her, or, like, interview her being like, why would you do that? So, I don't know. I just think it's kind of interesting. But basically, they sent the people home, but then they were like, it's fine. We can have people come back. It was just a prank. So... I want to introduce one of Camp Scott's regulars, as I would like to call her. Her name is Michelle Hoffman, and she was 15 years old at this time. She was working at the camp that summer, and we're going to call her by her last name, so Hoffman, because there's eventually going to be another Michelle, and it's going to get, like, really confusing. So
Okay.
we're going to call her Hoffman. So Hoffman first attended the camp as a camper when she was 9, so she's now 15. She started going when she was 9. And actually, at one point, she had said that when she went for the first time when she was 9, she was, like, super spooked and shocked at how dark it got, like, in the woods at nighttime. And she was like, it was, like, really intimidating if you've never been camping in, like, a platform tent in the deep woods before, which, like, I'd assume a lot of girls at that age haven't.
Yeah. I mean, I
the
have
tents
been
aren't,
camping,
like...
and I'm still like, no thank you about that.
Yeah. And, like, I put pictures of the tent on the, like, notes that you can look at some point, but they're not, like, nice, like, cabins or, like, something. Like, it's literally just... I'll explain more about the tents later, but it's not, like, a luxurious thing, you know? It's, like, the opposite of that. Like, a platform tent is just weird. So, after that first year, she apparently got over the darkness because she fell in love with camp, and she loved the hiking and the swimming, and even, like, sleeping in the tents she liked, I guess. And she loved it so much she was like, I'm coming back every single year from now on. So she did that. So now this is her 6th year coming to Camp Scott, and at this point it's her first year being too old to attend as a camper. So she, like, aged out.
Okay.
So this is, like, a pretty important part of her summer at this point in her life. She's done it for, like, 5 years.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'm gonna go to camp as an aide to the camp director. So I think it's basically, like, a step below a camp counselor. So maybe now it would be called, like, a junior counselor or something like that.
Okay.
And her hope was to train to become a counselor after completing this summer of being the aide to the director. So I think maybe you couldn't be a counselor until you were, like, 16 or something like that.
Probably.
But she still wanted to go, so she kind of, like, found a way to go anyway. And her dream actually was to become the director of Camp Scott when she grew up. So she was,
that's
like,
really cute, actually.
devoted. Yeah, it was pretty cute. So now fast forward to June. There's 2 months after this creepy note thing happens, and it's time for all the Girl Scout campers to start coming in. So Hoffman gets to the drop-off spot for the girls Sunday morning, June 12th, and the parking lot is already full of all these Girl Scouts. Like, basically it worked where there was this spot where the parents would drop off their daughters and say bye to them, and then there were buses running to the actual camp. So the girls would say bye to their parents at this, like, bus stop, hop on the bus, and then take a bus ride, an 1.5-hour bus ride out to the actual campsite. And I think it was just kind of so the parents didn't have to, like, drive so far out, since it was kind of deep in the woods and not in Tulsa. It was, like, outside of Tulsa. So as Hoffman gets to the parking lot, one girl catches her eye, because she could tell that the little girl was, like, super nervous. And it turned out that the girl was really nervous because it was her first summer at the camp. It was her first time going to camp. It was 10-year-old Denise Milner. And, you know, Hoffman being the stellar little queen that she was, she decided to go up to Denise and be like, hey, my name's Hoffman. What's up? So Denise's mom was still there, as were, like, a lot of the parents. So Hoffman also introduced herself to Denise's mom, whose name was Betty. And Betty's like, yo, Hoffman, my daughter be feeling kind of homesick already, and I haven't even left yet. And so Hoffman's like, she turns to the little Denise gal, and she's like, hey, you know what? Like, I'll get on the bus with you. We'll ride down to the camp together. Because, like, I don't think she had any, like, friends there or anything.
Yeah.
She's like, I'll ride with you on the bus and it'll be okay. Which, like, I know, I feel so bad, like, reading that because, like, I was so attached to, like, our mom when I was little. And, like, I know that feeling. Like, literally this one time, me and
you were Denise.
Yeah, me and mom, no, listen to this. Me and mom went to a Girl Scout camp once. We went twice, actually. One of the times, it was fine. No one died. The second time, also no one died. Okay. But we got there, and they tried to separate, because my mom was a Girl Scout leader, because I really wanted to be a Girl Scout when I was little, and there wasn't anyone for our age group, so my mom was like, fine, I'll fucking do it. So, like, what a legend. But anyways.
And remember when I always came with and helped?
Yeah, you were, like, the aide to the director.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm a Hoffman.
So you are Hoffman. But yeah, so, like, basically they tried, like, separating the parents from the girls, even though it was supposed to be, like, a thing with, like, your parents or something. I don't know. All I remember is being separated from mom, and I was not having it. So, like, I, like, broke away and, like, found mom, and I was like, we're leaving. And then we just left. We just fucking left. Didn't tell anyone. We just left. So anyways, this kind of brought up some old memories for me. Like, I literally forgot that happened until I was looking at this case, and I remembered.
Memory unlocked.
So, yeah. Anyways, back to the real people here. So, yeah, she's like, I'll ride with you on the bus. It'll be Gucci, okay? So then Denise is like, yeah, okay. Sounds good to me. So, they hop on the bus together, and Betty, which is Denise's mom, comes on the bus for a second to just, like, say goodbye and, like, you know, make sure they be sitting in a seat or whatever. I don't fucking know why she came on the bus, but she came on the bus to be like, bye, honey. And then she gets off the bus, and they're, like, literally about to drive away, and then Betty gets back on the bus, and she's like, yo, Hoffman, if Denise is still homesick tomorrow, can you please just, like, help her call home? And Hoffman's like, yeah, sure, like, even though technically, like, usually they're supposed to discourage the girls from calling home, just because, like, if they're homesick, usually it makes it worse.
Yeah.
So, like, basically, like, usually if a girl was homesick, the camp counselors would just kind of, like, try to, like, divert their attention to something else. But even though this was, like, the general rule, Hoffman's like, yes, if she's still homesick tomorrow, I'll help her call you at home. So, okay. Shout out.
Yeah. I feel like from a psychology standpoint, it's definitely, like, that's not what you're really supposed to do, but, like...
You're not supposed to let them call, or you're not supposed to not let them go?
You shouldn't, like, let them call. Like, I used to work at a preschool, and, like, sometimes the kids, when they would first go to preschool for the first time, they would just be, like, losing their shit, because, like, they've never been away from their moms.
I know.
And then sometimes the moms would also be really sad, which is, like, it was, like, so hard to watch sometimes, because you're
That's
just,
what
like,
happened to mom when she dropped me off at preschool. She would cry, bro.
Yeah, but then it's, like, hard, because basically you have to just be like, okay, like, now you're going to school, and then, like, have the parents leave, but then sometimes the mom would come back and start, like, peeking through, like, the little windows of the doors, and it was like,
no, guys.
Dude, you can't do that, because then it just makes it harder on the kid, because then it's just, like, an emotional roller coaster, and they're confused, and it's like they're confused about the situation, because then they're like, wait, my mom's here, but I can't see her, so then it's just way worse.
God, fuck.
Yeah, I just feel like there's, like, some weird things with, like, attachments there, like, insecure attachments and stuff, which is, like, a whole other thing. But, yeah, that's definitely, like, not, I don't know. But then it's hard, because it's, like, if the kid's, like, super sad, then you don't want to just be like, no, you can't talk to your mom, you know? So
yeah,
like,
and well, like, this
there,
was,
I don't know.
This was, like, a 2-week camp, so I think the idea was, like, Betty just wanted to know if, like, her daughter was, like, legit not having a good time, because then she was just gonna come pick her up.
Yeah, that's fair. It's not like it's, like, preschool, where it's, like, no, this is your life now.
Yeah.
That sounds
so, like,
that sounded really harsh.
This is your life now. You're never gonna see your mother again.
No, not like that. It's so much fun.
But anyways, yeah. So basically, Hoffman was like, sure, dog. Which, like, does she even have the authority to do that? I don't think so. That doesn't really matter. Anyways, yeah, she's fucking running this camp, bro. So while the two of them rode the bus together to the camp, Denise mostly just, like, stayed quiet and looked out the window longingly, like she was in a music video. And she was obviously just nervous about her time at camp, which, like, I understand, girl, I really do. And while they're on the bus, Hoffman starts leading some camp songs. Of course she does.
Sing it.
And she's, like, trying to assure Denise, she's like, yo, you're gonna have a great time. This is what she actually said. She said, you're gonna have a great time and everything's gonna be just fine, okay? So she's, like, trying to assure her, because she can tell she's a little bit freaked out.
Yeah, I feel like that's, like, terrible foreshadowing. I'm very nervous now.
Yeah, you should be. So then they get to the Camp Scott, and it's down Cookie Trail Road, which is not a joke. That's real. Cookie Trail Road. Guys, do better.
No, I like that one. I like that one. It's cute. It's relevant because everyone knows about the cookies.
Weird. The cookies.
It's more relevant than
they should call it Camp Cookie Trail.
Yeah,
they should have called it Camp Cookie Trail or like Camp
Cookie Camp Thin Mint.
Oh god, I feel like that's kind of like weird because it's like Fat Camp or something.
What's the other?
It's like where you send your fat Girl Scout daughter. Shortbread. I don't know.
When you're gluten-free and you've never been able to eat a Girl Scout cookie.
Literally. Oh, there's one that's called like, what is it? It's the one that like kind of looks like it has coconut on it or something. It's like a weird name. It's like Roundabout.
Yeah,
that's not what it's called.
No, I know what you're talking about. What is it called?
Oh man, that's gonna really piss me off.
Same.
Tagalongs.
Yes, Camp Tagalong.
I think that'd be cute.
They really missed an opportunity right there.
We should open a Girl Scout camp. Actually, the Girl Scouts don't exist anymore.
Okay, quit the podcast. Girl Scout camp. That's our new project.
I am.
No, I didn't know that though. They don't exist anymore.
It's now like just like Scouts.
Right. No. Yeah, that rings a bell now. That's cool.
Which like fuck yeah. Okay, so they get to the camp, Cookie Trail Road, and it's about 50 miles from Tulsa, and it had been operated by the Girl Scouts of America since 1928. So it's been there for a hot minute, and it was 410 acres of densely wooded country land.
Country?
And it
why'd you say that like that?
Country land, and it was used by the Scouts year-round. So I guess even in the winter, they were, like, booling out there, which, like, guys, oh my god. What were you guys doing? Like, fucking snowshoeing? Probably legit. One time when I was at, like, school forest camp thing, we had to ski, and I got lost in the woods by myself.
Oh my god.
So a lot of this is really just, like...
I feel like this is bringing up a lot of painful memories for you. Are you
Yeah, it is. I think no.
Okay. All right, let's keep going.
I think you need to take over. Okay, so, okay, this is an interesting fact. Camp Scott was actually on a big old chunk of native land that the Cherokee tribe had lived on for, like, ever, essentially. So that's just something to...
keep in mind.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Which, like, of course they fucking build a Girl Scout camp on native land. Like, guys, just stop.
Take your cookies somewhere
but anyways.
else, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, Jesus. So there were various campers' tents as well as counselors' tents, which were each, like, 12 by 14 feet, and they had these canvas sides that could be, like, rolled up. So, like, it was just, like, this flapping in the wind canvas, you know? And they basically just sat on these wood platforms, and then each tent had 4 cots in it. So each tent had 4 girls staying in it, typically. And this first round of campers that was there for the first 2 weeks had more than 130 girls in it. So, like, there was quite a few girls there. So basically Hoffman, like, stuck by Denise even after they got off the bus and helped her, like, go find her tent that she was staying in. And this was Kiowa tent number 8. And it was a tent that Hoffman had actually stayed in a couple times herself as a camper. So she was like, oh my god. And she turned to Denise and she was like, tent number 8 is pretty much my all-time favorite tent. That's literally what she said. And at some point, apparently, Hoffman had even written her name inside the tent, like, on the canvas siding, which, like, that's fucking naughty,
Scandalous, Hoffman.
Which, like, girl. But, like, I guess at that point, the canvas had been, like, replaced, so it wasn't even there. So, like, maybe she just said that to, like, flex on Denise.
She's like, I'm the aide, like, now, weird flex, you're the camper.
Okay. Weird flex, but okay, Hoffman. Okay, so this is kind of confusing, but it's kind of important. So... the way that the camp was laid out was there are, like, 10 units. So this particular unit they were in was called Kiowa, and they were all named different things. And then there are 8 tents within each unit.
Oh, wow.
So that's why their tent was Kiowa Tent 8.
Okay.
So there'd be, like, Kiowa 1, 2, 3, whatever. And then within each unit, the tents would be shaped in, like, a horseshoe shape, and it would go from 1 to 8. And then one of the 8 would be a counselor tent, and each unit would have 3 camp counselors assigned to that unit.
Okay.
So not, like, the counselors wouldn't stay in the tents with the girls. They had their own tent.
Okay, with 3 counselors in it.
Yeah.
Damn, that's a lot of fucking tents and a lot of fucking campers.
I know.
And a lot of counselors.
Yeah.
Actually,
like,
if you think about that,
lot.
that's, like, not that many counselors per camper, right? Because, like...
No,
that's,
not
like,
at all.
90... That's 90... Wait, no. That's, like, 70 campers and 3 counselors. Like, per unit.
I don't know how to do math, but yeah. Yeah, basically, I was really shocked when I found out that, like, there wasn't, like, a counselor for each tent.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's, like, pretty standard. I mean, maybe it wasn't, like, then. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's how they had it laid out. Which I feel like would make me even more scared if I was, like, in there by myself in the dark and there's just, like, 2 other 9-year-olds, like, next to me.
Wait, was there only 3 girls? Oh, yeah. He said there's 3 cots per tent. So there's only...
No, 4 cots per tent.
Oh. Okay. So there's 4 girls in a tent.
Mm-hmm,
And then, but the counselors have just 3 in their tent.
Yep.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I don't know why, but I was thinking there were 10 girls in each tent. That's why I was like, there's 70...
Oh my
like,
god,
that's why
no,
I was
there was 4 in each tent.
Okay, never mind. Ignore my math. That did not make sense.
Good thing I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
Okay, so, also, part of the reason why Hoffman liked the, that specific tent was because apparently it was closer to the bathroom, which, like, bathroom is kind of, like, a big word for what it really was. It was just, like, a toilet. And, like, a shower block. Like, it wasn't, like, a bathroom, you know?
Yeah.
It was, like, an outhouse kind of shower block thing.
Okay, kind of like when you go to, like, a boat landing and there's a bathroom there and it has, like, a bunch of spiders in it,
and it's,
and you're
like,
fuck.
Yeah, and you're like, I'm not going in there. I would rather just hold it and get a fucking UTI. So, yeah. But the thing about the Kiowa unit in general was that it was the farthest from, like... the counselor, well, the tent number 8 was farthest from the counselor's tent hello? Within the Kiowa unit, tent number 8 was farthest from the counselor's tent. So, like,
but
in the horseshoe, it would be, like, the first, yeah, I guess. Okay. So I guess, like, the very first tent would have been the counselor's, and then all the way on the other side of the horseshoe would have been tent number 8. And then, not only was it not close to the counselor that they had, like, right there in their unit, it was the farthest from, it was the most remote, basically.
Okay.
Like, it was the most, like, tucked away in the woods. And I have, like, a map of the camp on the notes, too, that you can look at if you want. But it's basically just, like, it's the farthest in the woods, pretty much.
Okay. And, you know, we'll maybe post this stuff, like, on our Instagram or something. Yeah. So anyone that's listening, if you want to see these pictures, too, we can put them up.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to explain, and, like, it was honestly really confusing and took me forever to, like, figure out the layout, but all you really need to know is that it was the most remote one, and it was, like, kind of partially obscured by the bathroom and, like, showers building, so, like, it was hard to see over there, like, directly to the tents and directly to tent 8. So it was kind of, like, more secluded, basically. So, like I said, the unit had 3 counselors. One of these was an 18-year-old named Carla. So all the campers in the Kiowa unit started settling in, and Carla was, like, trying to introduce herself to everyone and put names to faces with all the girls. And this is when she met Denise and the 2 other girls that were in tent 8. So, like I said, usually there's 4 girls in a tent, but there was only 3 in theirs. I'm guessing there was just, like, one less person in their unit, and since it was the last tent, that one was just the one that they just took one out of. So there were only 3 girls in their tent. And this is when Denise got to meet her little roomies. And none of them knew each other prior to coming here, so it's not like they were friends or something. One of them's name was Michelle, which is why I have to call Hoffman. And then the other girl's name was Lori. So Lori Farmer and Michelle Goose. I don't know if it's Goose or Goose. Goose. It's Guse, but it reminds me of, like, the Carly Goose case.
Okay, I literally was like, why does Goose sound so familiar? I know it's true crime, but I can't remember what it is. Okay.
It's not Michelle Hoffman. It's Michelle G.
And, okay, wait, what was the other girl's name again? Now I forgot already.
Lori.
Okay. Lori, Michelle, and Hoffman.
Well, Denise. Denise was the camper.
Duh.
Hoffman was just the
Denise,
person
Denise.
chilling.
Okay.
Hoffman's the OG. So Denise was actually the oldest of the 3 girls. She was 10. Like, oh my god, that's so old. And then Michelle was 9 and Lori was only 8. So Denise was kind of like the big dog. And according to Carla, the 3 girls actually started bonding, like, pretty quickly. They had actually started off as, like, 3 of the quietest kids, and then they ended up having a tent that was, like, just as loud as the other tents. So, like, they were getting along. It seemed pretty good. So later that night, after all the campers had been, like, singing some songs around the campfire, you know, just, like, some classic summer camp shenanigans, Hoffman's like, you know what? I'm gonna go check on my girl Denise. See how she's settling in. So she finds Denise just getting ready for bed with Lori and Michelle, her 2 best friends, and she seemed to be adjusting just fine, just like Hoffman had told her she would. Okay,
love to see it.
So Hoffman, we love to see it. So Hoffman leaves tent 8, and she goes to get into her own cot that was in a different unit. So as Hoffman laid in her cot, she was just reflecting on the day, you know? She was exhausted, okay? There was so much happening. It was a sunny day, but then there had been this thunderstorm, like a bad thunderstorm, so the whole camp was, like, soaked and, like, just kind of, like, nah, you know? Mm-hmm. But, so she was basically just super tired, but she was excited, to, like, get a good night's sleep and wake up and start doing all the fun stuff, since it would be, like, the first real day at camp. And she said everything pretty much went as normal, besides the fact that there was a little thunderstorm in the evening, so some of the girls had to kind of just huddle in their tents instead of being out and doing a ton of stuff. So she basically goes to bed. She goes to sleep. And then at some time a little bit before 10 p.m. that night, one of the counselors of a different unit, so not in the Kiowa unit, but a different one, sees a light in the forest that's moving north towards Kiowa. And at 10 p.m., Dee Elder, which is one of the other 3 Kiowa counselors, she makes a 10 check of the Kiowa unit, just to, like, make her rounds, pretty much, and everything is completely normal, everything's good. And then around midnight, Carla, which is one of the counselors from Kiowa, she heads over to, like, the toilet/bathroom thing, and there's, like, a bunch of girls over there being super loud and, like, fucking around. So she's like, come on, y'all, you gotta go back to your tent, god damn it. So she escorts them back to their tent, and she's, like, kind of annoyed, low-key. And then by, like, 1:30 in the morning, the girls in one of the tents of Kiowa, it was tent 6, they were still making noise, so she's, like, frustrated at this point. Yeah. So then Carla, oh my god, plot twist, Carla kills them. Just kidding. Carla gets up, and she comes out of the tent, and she shines her light in the direction of tent 6, and she's like, stop being so loud, get to sleep, you know? Yeah. And then, all of a sudden, Carla hears this strange noise coming from, like, behind the tents, and she, like, struggled to even describe, like, what the noise sounded like, and all she could say about it was that, quote, it was a low, guttural sound, somewhat like a frog and a bullhorn, end quote.
What?
So what I want is for you to just do what you think
I literally was, like, thinking about that right now. A frog and a bullhorn, or...
Yeah. Something like a frog.
Like, I don't know, I just feel like I feel like it's like very like
if you taped an air horn to Kermit the Frog and threw him off a building, maybe that's what it would sound like.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't know, but basically she heard that and she was like, the fuck.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyways, she wakes up one of the other Kiowa counselors, that girl named Dee, and she's like, bitch, did you hear that? And Dee was like, no, let me sleep, bro, just go away. Well, I don't know if she said that, but she said that she didn't hear the noise. So Carla's like, damn, maybe I'd be hearing shit. So she shines her light in the direction of the noise, and the noise just stops. So
it was
she's
like, it was like ongoing.
Yeah, it wasn't just like a for like ever. It was like off and on. Yeah. So like it would be a little and then stop and be a little stop. So I think she heard it. It stopped. She asked Dee, did you hear that? Dee's like, no. Okay, and then she heard it again, shines her light over, and then it stopped.
Okay.
So she gets back in her tent and she falls asleep. And apparently after that, the noise is just kind of heard on and off. So I don't know if she was kind of like waking up and hearing it every now and then kind of thing.
I would not be trying to go to sleep. I'd be like waking up everyone on the camp.
Especially because like what could that even be? I don't even know. Like if it sounded really like a frog, then you could kind of be like, oh, it's just a frog out there.
Yeah,
but, like,
or maybe just
if
like
it was somewhere between
another
a frog and
animal
a
or something.
bullhorn.
But even if it's like a bullhorn, that makes it sound like it's like an animal like in distress or something. And then like wouldn't you want to like go look and like help it or something? I don't know. Like I'm just like
I don't know. I think she was just kind of like over it at this point.
She's
like
not
tired,
her job. Sick of the kids being annoying. She's like frog and a bullhorn. Who gives a shit at this point? Good night.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's just so strange. Okay, but anyways, so then around 3 a.m., there are 2 reports of from girls on other units being woken by noises. So one of them reports that they heard a single scream, and that it might have been a little bit earlier, like possibly around 1 a.m. And the other girl says that she heard a girl crying out for her mother. But none of this comes out until later. Like, the girls didn't get up and tell anyone or anything. I assume they were, like, really scared and didn't really want to leave their tent to tell a counselor or, like, even move at all. Like, or maybe they thought they were just being paranoid or, like, hearing things and they thought they were just, you know, creeped out by the darkness and, like, psyching themselves out. So I guess everyone just kind of, like, went back to bed who heard anything and just assumed everything was fine because, like, why wouldn't you, kind of?
Or it's like the Kitty Genovese effect where, like, you just expect that if something bad's happening, someone else is gonna, like, go help them. You know what that is?
Right. Yeah. So you're like, and, like, also, it's not the 8-year-old girl's job to, like, fucking hear the scream and go do something.
Someone else will hear it and they'll go help them. And, like, they're terrified, so they're not gonna move. You know what I mean?
Right. So, like, they were just like, good night, going back to sleep now. So, the next morning around 6 a.m., Carla gets up to go to the showers because she's like, I want to beat all these bitches to the bathroom, like all the campers. And as she's walking down the trail, something catches her eye at the fork of the trail, and it looked like sleeping bags or like lost luggage. So she walked over it to like check it out. And as she approached the bundles that were on the ground, suddenly she could make out the body of a girl lying there, face up and naked from the waist down. And guess who it was? It was Denise.
No. That's
little fucking Denise, bro. I'm dead. Rip. So Carla's like, shit, fuck. So she runs back to the Kiowa counselor tent. She wakes up the other 2 counselors, Dee and Susan, and she's like, bro, I found a body. We need to check on the rest of the girls. Like, make sure everyone's okay. Which, like, Carla, you fucking go, bro.
Yeah,
right?
Seriously, I feel like I would be, like, in shambles. Like,
I would just be standing there, like,
shit. Yeah, like, I feel like I would just, like,
a video game character when they're, like, glitching and they're just, like,
yeah,
chilling.
or, like, pass out or something, like,
oh fuck. Yeah, but she runs to the other girls and she's like, we need to check on the rest of our girls, which, like, oh my god.
Probably, like, the adrenaline. She was just, like, crisis mode.
Crisis mode. Activated.
Say that. It's, like, not funny at all, but, like, sometimes I feel like you have to, like,
you just gotta do what you gotta
do. Like, very dark, so.
Yeah. So, she sees the body, crisis mode is activated, and Dee's like, okay, I'm gonna go check out, the tents, and she starts by checking out tent 8, which, like, big mistake, bro, that's not where you want to be, and all the 3 girls are missing from their tent, so there's no one in there, and she's like, fuck. So while Dee is checking on the rest of the girls and all the other tents, Carla's like, I'm gonna sprint down to the nurse's station because maybe this girl is still alive, or there's like a hope of saving her, right? Mm-hmm. So she runs over to the nurse and she's like, nurse. And the nurse drives her little van, I don't know if she had a van, but that's what I picture, over to the Kiowa unit to like check on the girl, see if there's anything she can do. And while that's happening, Carla runs to the director's house, which she's just like running all over the place, bro. She runs to the director's house and she's like, Barbara was the director's name.
I thought you said Barbara, and I was like, she's leaving?
She said, Barbara, I'm fucking out of here. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised, but she tells Barbara what's going on, and Barbara's like, fuck. So the nurse gets to the scene and she checks for a pulse, but it's clear that Denise is already dead. There's nothing she can do. Denise had obvious head injuries and her hands were still tied behind her back. So then the director's husband, Richard, arrives at the scene, and he discovers the body of the two other girls, Lori and Michelle. They were also both in sleeping bags. So he places another sleeping bag over the lower half of Denise, since it was like her body was naked from the waist down, just for like a respect thing. And then Barbara calls the police. So the rest of the staff and counselors were basically told to just like act normal, because they didn't want all the rest of the campers to like freak out.
Oh my God.
So all the Girl Scouts had no idea what was going on, which, like, I don't know how the rest of the girls in the Kiowa unit didn't see the bodies, but I guess the bodies were like 150 yards from the Kiowa tents, but like obviously Carla saw them like right from the trail. So I don't really know, but the girls didn't know anything. They were just like, what the hell's going on? So basically they got all the girls on buses really fast, and they drove them back to the bus stop. And it's an hour and a half drive, so while they're on the bus or whatever, the people at the camp are calling the parents, and they're like, there is an accident, you need to come pick up your kid at the bus stop where they had been dropped off. But the camp staff like didn't give any names of any of the girls that were involved in the accident, and they didn't say anyone had died. They didn't say like there was a death, a murder, or like anything. And they didn't say, all they literally said was there was an accident, you need to come pick up your kid. And apparently the parents of the three girls who had died were informed that their daughters had died, but they were only told they had died in an accident, and nothing else. Oh, so somehow before the parents even like were told that their daughters were murdered, the media somehow got a hold of the story.
Oh my God.
And yeah, the parents ended up hearing it on the news that the girls had been murdered.
Oh my
and that's
God.
how they found out that it wasn't an accident.
That's so terrible. That like makes me want to cry.
Yeah, they were like so pissed. Which like obviously. So yeah, that's so fucked up. And like there is this thing online, it's like, well, they didn't know how the girls had died yet, so they couldn't like legitimately say the cause of death. But it's like, okay, bro, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Like, God. So anyways, the first officer that arrived at the scene was a highway patrol officer. I'm guessing just like whoever was closest at the time. His name was Harold Berry. And he was pretty adamant that no one interfered with the crime scene, which like, thank God, right?
Yeah.
Like there are so many times when the cops
Harold.
don't do that, and it's so annoying. So he knows what's up. So, I mean, obviously the nurse and the director's husband, Richard, had already, like, low-key interfered with the scene when the nurse checked for a pulse and when Richard, like, covered up the body with a sleeping bag. But besides that, Harold made sure that as soon as he got there, nothing else would, like, contaminate the scene. At least the scene immediately surrounding the bodies. So he also did make note that, like, he could only... he made note that he could really only, like, keep the immediate scene untouched. Like, it was pretty much impossible for him to secure the entire camp because, A, the amount of girls that are, like, there, like, running around getting on the buses and shit, and B, the size of the camp itself. So, like, the entire scene, like, the entirety of the camp wasn't secured until a while later, but... So when he said that he secured the scene, he didn't want people to be like, you didn't secure the scene.
Yeah.
But, like, when he says he secured the scene, he means, like, right around the bodies.
Okay.
And then another thing he noted was that he could only see one set of footprints that were leading from the Kiowa camp unit to the bodies. So then by 8 a.m., Sheriff Glenn Weaver arrives at the scene, and pretty much immediately he's like, I'm in over my goddamn head. So he calls the OSBI and requests help, the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. He's like, can y'all come and, like, do some shit, okay?
Yeah, he's like, this is more serious than, like, my normal...
Yeah, it's like when the local police call in the FBI and Criminal Minds, and they're like, help.
Yeah.
So yeah, he calls them, and they're like, okay. So, surrounding the bodies, the officers found a few things. They found rope, tape, a flashlight, and a gag. And inside of the flashlight were, like, some crumpled up newspaper pages, which is, like, weird. And then inside the tent, they also found a letter from Denise that she had written to her mom the day before. And this, okay, I'm just telling you right now, this is the worst part of this entire thing.
Oh, God. I, like, don't even want to know.
It's so bad. It's, like, heartbreaking.
God.
Because it's, like, it's not like she wrote it, like, knowing she was gonna die or some shit. Like,
Yeah.
the girls the day before had just been, like, writing letters to their parents for fun or whatever, and this is the one that she wrote, and they found it. And there's actually a photo, like, of the letter online, so you can, like, see it. And this is what it says. It says, quote, "Dear Mom, I don't like camp. It's awful. The first day it rained. I have 3 new friends named Linda, Lori, and Michelle. Michelle and Lori are my roommates. Mom, I don't want to stay in camp for 2 weeks. I want to come home to see Kathy and everybody. Your loving child, Denise," end quote. Fuck. Because, like, imagine, like, your daughter's like, I don't want to go. And then you're like, you'll be fine. Yeah, and then later you find that, and you're like, I shouldn't have made her go. Which, like, it wasn't her fault. I'm not saying it was her fault. Like, obviously it wasn't her fault.
Just
but,
thinking to, like, how
as
you would
the
feel
mom,
in that
it's
situation.
like, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy
So that's, like, really
shit.
sad.
Oh my
So
God.
let's just move on from that.
That is but as sad. Moving on.
Yeah, that part really fucked me up. And, like, when you see the note, too, and, like, her handwriting, her little, like,
That's
cursive,
so
it's like...
sad. No, I don't want to think about it. It's going to make me cry.
Yeah. Okay, so anyways, the camp counselors also eventually reported that one of their purses was also missing from their tent, as well as a pair of, like, one of their eyeglasses.
Okay, weird.
Yeah. So at this point, they're pretty sure that the killer was also in the counselor's tent, like the Kiowa counselor's tent, as well as Tent 8. So the officers analyzing the scene came to the conclusion that the killer had likely approached Tent 8 from the back and had unhooked the back flaps of the tent in order to get inside. Because obviously it's a tent, it's not like it's fucking locked. Like,
yeah.
he could literally just walk in. But he came in through the back, so it would be like through the woods part, you know?
Yeah.
So they could tell by the blood spatter on the floor and the walls that that Lori and Michelle had been bludgeoned to death inside of the tent. And they were also both sexually assaulted, and semen was found on each of the girls' bodies.
Oh my God. Okay, because at first I was thinking, well, what if it's one of the camp counselors? Because, like, how would he go into the camp counselor's tent without them, like, waking up? But I guess, obviously, with that evidence, they know it's a male.
No, yeah. Yep, they knew it was a male. So, it appeared that the killer had also tried to, like, clean up some of the blood with, like, the bed sheets from the girls' cots. But it obviously, like, still left a lot of blood behind. And he actually stepped in some of the blood and left, like, a super distinct boot print inside the cabin, which, like, dumbass.
Yeah.
It was a size 9.5, and it was a military boot. So that also gave them, like, a little bit of insight.
Okay. Garcia, check military size 9.5.
God.
She's like typing
her,
like
she's like, yeah, as if there's like, or when she's like, check. There was this one I was watching recently, and it was like, check for artists in New York. And it's like, there's not an international, like, there's not a national log of artists. Like,
yeah, and also
it's not like when you,
like
you register as an artist.
Art everywhere.
Yeah.
Criminal
So
Minds
stupid.
reference for anyone that doesn't know. Sorry. That was a
Criminal
brief aside.
Minds, so unrealistic. Anyways, so yeah, they had that little bit of info. They also analyzed the scene for fingerprints, and they found 3 prints between all of the girls' bodies and the items. However, in 1977, when they ran the prints, the results were just, like, inconclusive, like, it didn't do anything.
Okay.
And then the semen found on the bodies was also tested, but no results came back for that either. So it, like, didn't match anyone in the system. Or whatever. So, Denise had been bound, like I mentioned earlier. She was still bound when her body was found, and then her mouth was stuffed with a pre-made gag. So, like, it wasn't like someone had just used, like, an item they found there as a gag. Like, it was, like, a pre-sewn, like, made gag. Which makes it, like, creepier. And then her cause of death was asphyxiation. But she had also been bludgeoned. And then the cause of death for the other 2 girls was the blunt force trauma. So, Denise was the only one that died from, like, being strangled. And then during the autopsies, the ME found weapons were held in both the left and the right hand of the killer, and that more than one weapon had been used in the bludgeoning. None of the weapons were found, but, like, this made them wonder if there had been 2 killers instead of 1. And they also discovered that there were 2 different types of knots used in, like, tying the girls.
Okay.
So they were just, like, kind of seems like there's just, like, the job of 2 people, not just 1.
Yeah.
So that was like a thought too at this point. So the first suspect that they focused on was this guy named Jack Schroff, and he owned a ranch that was only like a mile from the camp. So that's why they were pretty much like,
yeah, just proximity.
what you doing?
Yeah.
So he had like this like farm, like a farmhouse. So they went to his house and they searched his house, and they found black duct tape as well as rope, which both appeared identical to the tape and rope that had been used on the girls. And when they asked Jack about, you know, the night before and stuff and all that, he's like, actually last night my house was broken into and some stuff was stolen, including some rope and some tape.
Okay.
And he said that the rope and the tape that they found in his house was just replacements he had bought for the rope and tape that was stolen. Which, like, what?
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't really... My first reaction to that is like, okay, you don't just wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, these two things were stolen, let me go to the store immediately and buy that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it could be true, but, like, it just seems kind of fishy.
Yeah, that was weird to me, too. And, like, the only thing I could think of is if maybe what he really, like, meant was that it was like the killer had come and taken like a strip of tape and like a section of rope and
like
left the rest there.
That's what I thought when you first said that. But then when you said like, oh, they were replacements for them, like that makes it sound fishy.
Yeah, it's so weird. But yeah, he did tell them that his house was broken into, and they found a footprint outside of his house that was identical to the one that was found in the blood inside tent 8. So they're like, okay, we're going to give you a polygraph test just to make sure, whatever. And he passes the test.
Wait, they found a shoe that was identical to the foot?
A footprint. They found a footprint on his property.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so they found a footprint that was like the exact same as the footprint inside the tent.
But they didn't check his shoes? Okay, sorry. I'm just
I mean, they probably did. But like there's nothing about that.
Okay. I just wonder like what his shoe size is. Like, is he 9.5?
Yeah, these are all questions I don't have the answers for.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm guessing he wasn't in the military because they probably would have mentioned that if he was, because that would have been like, oh my god, he was in the military, military boots, whatever. But they give him a polygraph test and he passes. Not that that's like a really great reliable thing, but it's something, I guess. And they didn't find anything else at his ranch/farm. And then most importantly, he had a super solid alibi for the night of the murders, and it like completely checked out. And I couldn't find exactly what his story was, like for where he was and how they like confirmed it, but it just said that he was away from his home at the time of the murders. So he must have been like with someone else or at someone else's house. Yeah. And they must have confirmed it with someone. So because of his like passing the polygraph and his rock solid alibi, he was cleared as a suspect.
Okay.
So he was no longer on their list of suspects. So they're like, now what? So a few days after the murders, a cave is discovered near Camp Scott, which appeared like someone had been living in it. So inside the cave, they found a couple items, including a pair of women's glasses. Bruh. Remember the glasses that were stolen? This is another thing that there aren't answers for. Did they show the counselor the glasses and ask her if they were her glasses? I don't know.
And why does he want glasses?
Well, probably like a souvenir.
Yeah. But like, it's so weird.
But like, why wouldn't they confirm if they were the girl's glasses or not?
Yeah.
Maybe they did, but like, that's not anything. Anyway,
and
so
like, if you're gonna, I don't know, if you're gonna target like little girls, why wouldn't you take a souvenir from one of them? And versus like the counselor, unless it was like a power thing, like you're supposed to be in charge here and I took something of yours while you were sleeping and I did all this without you even knowing. Maybe
I could see that being the case for sure. Or he might not have even known, like, who even fucking knows, bro?
Yeah, true.
Obviously he wasn't mentally sound, whoever did it. But yeah, so they found a pair of women's glasses, some photographs, and some newspapers. And we'll get to the photographs
newspapers
in a second.
were in the flashlight.
After analyzing the newspapers,
I'm so good.
They found that it matched the crumpled pages that were found inside the flashlight. So, like, the pages that had been ripped out, like, matched the rest of the newspaper. It was, like, the same edition and everything. So it was proven that whoever was there was also at the crime scene. And then on the wall of the cave, something was written. And it said, quote, 77-6-17. The real killer was here. and this is my favorite part, "Bye bye, fools," end quote. So, the 77-6-17 is obviously the date, like June 17th, 1977, but it's just, like, written in a weird format. And there's really, like, no explanation for that, because, like, I know in other countries they write the dates differently, but nowhere does it like that. So, I don't really know why he wrote it like that, but that would be... The weird thing is, too, the murder happened on the morning of the 13th. So that would be the date of, like, 4 days after the murders. So if we're assuming the killer did write it, he either was in the cave for, like, a couple days following the murders, or he, like, wrote a future date. Like, not the date that he actually did it.
Okay, that's weird.
Or, like, wrote the wrong date. So it's, like, yeah, it's really weird. But...
yeah, maybe if he was living in a cave, he doesn't really know what day it is, and maybe he lost track.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering. But also he had a newspaper, so who fucking... I don't really know. But, yeah. That date was written, which was around the time of the murders. And then the photographs. So, the photographs they found in the cave, they somehow found out that these photos had been taken by a guard at the Mays County Jail. And they had, like, asked the guard, like... about the photos, and he was like, yeah, the person who actually helped me develop these was an inmate at the jail named Jean Leroy Hart. And they're like, okay, Jean? So they start to look at Jean for these murders, and he is no fucking stranger to the police, okay? Like, first of all, he was convicted for kidnapping and rape in 1966. Okay. Then 3 years later, in 1969, they fucking released him on parole, which, like, don't even fucking get me started on how ridiculous that is. So while he's out on parole, he burglarizes a home in Tulsa, so he gets another 50 years at the Mays County Jail. And then, this man just fucking escapes the jail in 1973, and he's just never found.
What?
Like from this point, from 1973 when he broke out to 1977, they just never found. They didn't know where he was.
Is it just me, or, like, do you not understand how people can just escape jails? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
In general, like, that's, like, a side note, but, like, I don't understand.
I mean, there's a lot of, like, corruption with, like, prison guards and stuff, and, like, bribery, and, like, a lot of shit like that sometimes has to do with it. But as far as this, I don't know. I mean, it does seem like maybe he was buddy-buddy with one of the guards.
Yeah, they're,
he
like,
helped him, like, develop his photos or something.
Together.
Yeah. So they're, like, doing, like, cute little things.
Spend a lot of time in the dark room
but
together.
Yeah, so...
Cute, romantic.
Yeah, so, like, I don't know how he escaped, but he did. And he did successfully. So when they find these pictures, they're like, God damn it. Because they realize it's linked to Jean, and they're like, this fucker. So Jean's mom lived, like, not very far away from Camp Scott, and he was also raised, like, right in that general area, too. So they're like, God damn it. So they pretty much assume at this point that the person who had been living in the cave was Jean Leroy Hart.
Yeah.
Because those were photos that he had in his possession at one point. They were there. Whatever. But he's gone again. So they're like, God damn it. So they search for him for 10 whole months before they finally catch him. And he was just chilling at the house of another Cherokee native, just hanging out. Because he was also a Cherokee native as well. And when they caught him, they were like, yo, did you kill these girls? And he literally just shouted, you'll never pin it on me. And then he just straight up stopped talking to the cops.
That's not, like, suspicious or anything.
Yeah, like, homie, wouldn't you be like, what girls?
Yeah, like,
what are you talking about?
Like,
you'll never pin it on me.
Okay, well.
Yeah, so that's fucked. So he's taken a trial for the murders of Lori, Denise, and Michelle, but the case is basically thrown out because there's insufficient evidence linking him to the case.
Oh my god.
So basically, the defense for Jean said that the bloody footprint in the tent was too small to be Jean's, and that one of the fingerprints that the police had found on the flashlight wasn't a match to Jean's either. And then the semen samples taken from the girls' bodies weren't conclusive as matches to Jean.
What?
Either.
There's, like, so much. Like, that's, like, so much DNA.
Yeah, but the DNA, the semen samples, the DNA was apparently similar, but it couldn't be guaranteed as a match. So, like,
yeah,
when they say it wasn't a match, it doesn't mean that it for sure wasn't his.
No, I know what you mean.
It just kind of means that it wasn't good enough to, like, so that's obviously not fucking helpful, but, like, so yeah. And then there was also some speculation that the sheriff on the case had, like, planted the photographs in the cave, like, just to link Gene to it, because
they wanted to, like, close the case, and
the cops were out to get me, yeah. But that was never proven to be true, like, never proven to be true. There's no evidence behind that.
Do you know if he was in the military?
You know what? I don't know. I don't even think it said.
Okay.
So I don't know. But, yeah. So anyways, after 6 hours of deliberating, the jury came back and decided that he was, what do you think? Guilty or not guilty?
Wait, I thought you said the case was thrown out.
Yeah, basically the case was, like, everyone was kind of just like, this isn't legit. Like, they went to court and there wasn't a strong case. Like, it was basically just like the people who were saying that it was Gene just got, like, obliterated in court, basically.
Okay.
Like, the defense came in with all these things being like, it wasn't his shoe size.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fingerprint. And so they were basically like, this case is fucking stupid. Like,
so then they just made it to, like, they just put it to the jury?
Yeah, they put it to the jury anyway, but I think, like, the reason why it was, I think they basically at this point was like, there's really no chance that he's going to get convicted because there's, like, no evidence saying that he did it. And the evidence that they did have was, like, easily debunked by his defense.
Okay.
So
probably, I'm going to say not guilty.
Yeah, they found him not guilty.
Okay.
So the evidence, I guess, just wasn't there, and the whole thing was kind of a mess. Like, the entire trial was just a mess. And the jury was like, we don't have enough to say that this man did this.
Yeah, because it has to be, like, beyond reasonable doubt, which is, like, so frustrating, because sometimes it's like, I mean, it seems like they obviously did it, but then the evidence isn't strong enough, so then you're like...
Yeah. But then on the other side, it's like, there are so many people who are wrongly convicted, and you're like, how did this happen?
Yeah,
so it's like, when it's like, it can never just be like a happy medium.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, it always, it's just
and
so
I mean,
frustrating.
with the whole Gene thing, I don't know. I still think that he might have, well, you're probably gonna have more to say, but right now I feel like the evidence is very strong that he probably did it, but on the other hand, they could have just, like, thought that he did it because of his past, like, convictions, and then him saying, you'll never put it on me. Maybe he was just paranoid about being convicted of something again anyway, and, like, maybe he's just, like, not mentally stable, so maybe that's why he said that. Like, there could be two sides. Like, I'm trying to see both sides.
I mean,
right now,
yeah.
but yeah.
His DNA wasn't found at the scene, essentially, like, conclusively. And so, like, that's not evidence. Like,
and, like, no fingerprints. The shoe.
Yeah, so it's like...
Okay.
It's kind of like, what the fuck? So... Anyway, even though he was found not guilty, thankfully, if y'all remember, this man escaped from jail in the first place. So, it's not like he just got to walk free.
Oh, yeah.
He had to go back to jail for...
I forgot about that.
He had to go back to jail for his previous crimes as well as escaping. So, guess how many years he got for that? Total.
I feel like I'm going to be disappointed. 50?
No, 305.
Oh my god. Okay, based on, like, the previous, like, sentence, I thought it was gonna be like really low.
I know.
But yay, okay.
I know.
That.
Yeah, and so, like, if he would have been convicted for the murders, it's like it wouldn't really matter unless they, like, put him on, like, death row or something.
Yeah, true.
But most people who get put on death row don't even die anyway. But anyways, so he's already in jail anyway, and then after only 2 months back in jail, he has a heart attack and fucking dies.
Oh my god.
So he dead. He can't escape anymore, which is a good thing, but also it's kind of annoying because it's like, I wanted you to suffer in there for 305 years, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not, but, like, I wanted him to suffer, but at the same time, I'm, like, kind of, like, relieved that he's dead because he obviously escaped successfully before.
True.
So it made me feel like it wasn't really secure to have him there. So, like, I guess I'd rather just have him be dead in a way.
Yeah. Adios.
But it's always kind of hard to say with those situations, like, if you'd rather have them dead or alive, because they're either, you know, it's like, are they suffering in jail or are they happy because they're not dead?
Yeah.
And it really depends on the family, too. Like, some families are like, I want him dead. He should be, like, his life should be taken. Like, he took the life of X person or whatever. But some people are like, he should have to live with himself every day knowing that he did something so terrible.
Yeah, and it also depends on the criminal, because some criminals are just so fucked up that they just sit in there all smugly, like, thinking and reminiscing on all the bad things that they've done. So it's like, are they even suffering? Probably not.
Right, exactly. So it's, like, so hard to say.
But then if he has a heart attack, it's like, well, that was just nature taking its course. So then you don't even have to decide. Like, it's just like, okay,
you don't have to,
bye-bye.
Yeah. And, like, he probably suffered if he had a heart attack, so who really knows? But, yeah, so a lot of people still think that he was guilty for the murders. Some people think that there's no way he did it alone and that he probably had an accomplice, but, there was no, like, hard evidence besides a few things that I mentioned, as far as pointing to it being two people. And actually, eventually, the parents of Lori Farmer and Denise Milner filed a $5 million lawsuit against the management for Camp Scott. They were called the Magic Empire Council, and accused them of negligence, which resulted in the deaths of Lori and Denise. So the parents argued that the note found before opening the camp that summer, throwback, should have been investigated more seriously, and that 10-8 shouldn't have even, like, been where it was because it was in an unsafe spot.
Yeah.
Due to being so, like, remote. So they basically argued, A, the note was a thing, and that should have been taken more seriously, and B, 10-8 and the Kiowa unit in general shouldn't have been so far out. And so they were like, we want them to basically give us $5 million and say that they're responsible for this, but the jury was like, no. And the jury ruled in favor of the Magic Empire Council and decided that the girls' deaths did not occur due to their negligence. So they didn't get anything. And then as far as Camp Scott goes, where's he? Who is he? Camp Scott was closed immediately that day, and it has never been open since. And now it's just abandoned, which is fucking terrifying. There's, like, some photos, and, like, one of the, if this case was interesting to any of you guys, you should definitely look up, some of the interviews that they have done with, like, Carla and stuff, because she's, like, a grown-ass woman now, obviously. And, like, it's insane, like, her talking about it, because she's the one who found the first body.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, she's, like, in her 50s
and, like,
now then, right? Or around that age?
Yeah, she's pretty old now, but,
or maybe, like, 60s.
There's, like,
actually, maybe she's even
that seems
70s,
about right.
Actually.
Yeah, I don't know. She looked, like, kind of old, but, like, not, like, on her deathbed or anything.
Oh yeah, because
I also don't know when
she was, like, 18 then already, so
yeah,
she must be, like, in her 70s now.
Yeah, so I don't know when the interview took place that I was, like, seeing the pictures of her from, so who knows. But anyways, she, like, talks about it, and it's so, like, it's just crazy. And she actually goes back to, they take her back to the spot.
Oh my gosh.
And she, like, looks at it, and she's like, what the fuck?
That's so
because,
traumatic.
Like,
oh my god.
The grass is, like, all, like, overgrown, and it looks like nothing was, like, ever even, like, there. So yeah, it's just really yikes. And they never reopened the camp. And apparently some, like, hunters who, like, now, like, own the land or the land around it, like, sometimes, like, are on that land or have access to it to, like, get to their hunting spots. But besides that, it's kind of just, like, chilling there. But yeah, so ultimately the case is just literally unsolved.
Wait, can you hear
still
me
unsolved? Yeah. I can hear you.
Oh, it was, like, really weird. All of a sudden you, like, froze.
Could you hear me?
Yeah, it was, like, lagging, though.
Okay.
You were, like, going, like,
okay.
So if you can just re-say the part about how the, like, the last thing you said, like, the camp is basically just, like, and then it froze.
Oh, okay. So basically the only, like, it's just sitting there, essentially, this plot of land that used to be the camp. But some, like, hunters that own, like, parts of the land or the land around it, still have, like, access to it or, like, walk through it to get to their hunting spots. But besides that, like, I guess Cookie Trail Road is where some of them walk down to get to their hunting spots.
Okay.
So that's, like, the closest that anyone really, like, interacts with it now. But besides that, it's kind of just, like, chilling there ever since that day.
And no one was ever convicted, like, cold
yeah,
case.
the case is just still unsolved.
Oh my god, I hate that.
Yeah, so I know it's, like, not a great ending. Not that any of these are, like, ever going to be great endings, but unsolved cases are really frustrating. The only reason I really chose this one is because there was, like, a pretty, like, solid suspect. So it's kind of like one of those where I want to know, like, what other people think about it. And see, like, do people think that Gene did it? Do people think that he didn't do it? At one point, they also were suspecting, to see, like, if Richard was involved, the director's husband.
I know, I thought of him too.
Yeah, but there was nothing. Like, they cleared him as a suspect too, so, like, I guess it wasn't him. But yeah, so I don't know. And like, see,
like, I wish I could see that note, the kill note, because
oh my god,
I know
it's
like, would it look like it was written by, like, a teenage girl, or does it look like it was written by, like, a psychotic man? You know what I mean? I feel like you can,
like,
tell.
I picture it like a psychotic,
like, scrawly,
like, really hard pressed in, like, and, like, the thing about the Martians, it's like, what? And
oh my
like,
god, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it's so weird. And, like, some people say that, like, possibly, like, it had something to do with the fact that it was on native land or something like that, and that was somehow, like, involved, or, like, someone who was a native Cherokee person was pissed off that they were on their land, or which Gene was a Cherokee native. So I don't know, there's, like, a lot of theories surrounding that as well. And, like, the fact that they think that some of the people who lived in that area who were Cherokee natives, like, covered for him because of the fact that he was also, like, a Cherokee native. Like, for example, the person that, like, he was staying at their house while they were looking for him. So I don't know.
Maybe
it's
the
like,
person that he was staying with, that could have been, like, his accomplice even. And it's like, did they ever look into that guy? Like,
right, I literally don't know.
Also,
that's, like, what's so frustrating.
I still want to know if he was in the military. I want to know what his shoe size was. Like, there's, like, so many unanswered questions.
Well, apparently his shoe size was bigger than a 9.5.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because they said
that it was too small.
Yeah, interesting. And maybe, like, I want to know, like, with the Martian thing, like, if, like, the jail guy, if, like, the guard or whatever that, like, knew him really well, that did, like, the photography stuff with him, like,
if he knew if he was interested in it or anything.
Like, if he ever talked about Martians or, like, stuff like that. Like,
yeah, I feel like there's a lot more that could have proved, like, one way or another, and I'm sure there's, like, a lot of things that the police, like, looked into that just isn't online. Because I feel like that's always the case, but, like, you never know. Like, there's a lot of times when cases are looked over and, like, there's a lot of information that's just never looked into. Like, I like to always assume, like, I'm sure they looked into that. Like, I'm sure they did. I'm sure it was nothing. But then you find other cases where it's like, they never did a rape kit. Or they had this DNA for 20 years and never even tested it.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like, it's hard to have faith in the justice
system.
The justice system.
Yeah, I know. I feel you.
But yeah, and then it's like the whole question of, like, was the note a legitimate warning? Was it that premeditated?
And I just want to go back to that really quick, because why would anyone say that they did that? Like, why would that girl say that they did that as a prank? Like, if there was really a girl that said that she did that as a prank, obviously we don't know for sure. Maybe that was just the director trying to, like, be like, oh, someone said it was a prank, so that's why I brought all the kids back. But if that is true, that, like, one of the teenage girls was like, I just wrote that kill note as a prank, like, why would you ever admit to doing that if it wasn't true? Maybe, like did she just really want the camp to, like, recommence? Reopen. Yeah, like, I feel like that's the only reason why you would ever say that it was you without it being true. And secondly, I just feel like that's too much of a coincidence that it was like, I want 3 girls dead and then 3 girls died. Like, I feel like that could not be true unless she had something to do with the murder.
And what's really weird too is, like, that was one of the only tents that, like, didn't have 4 girls in it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and did they ever, like, I want to know, did they ever question this alleged girl that said that she wrote the note as a prank? Because that's really suspicious.
That's what I remember. That's what it said at the beginning, was, like, they never said her name. They never like, was there even a girl who said that? Like, we don't know.
The camp never even said her name.
No.
I thought you meant like the online stuff never said like who it was.
Well, I mean, online never did, but I'm pretty sure that they never like they never even like said it to the police. Or maybe they did, but the police were just like, meh, that's not important.
Oh my god.
Or maybe they did question her and it was nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
Or
so
maybe
hard to say, like, why didn't they take handwriting samples? Oh, but they couldn't even take handwriting samples because the note was thrown away. So what were they really supposed to do?
Oh, jeez.
Because then it's just like hearsay, you know? Like they can't do anything at that point. They can't prove it was or wasn't the girl, even if she comes forward and says it was her.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the other thing is, like, it said, like, I'm on a mission to kill 3 girls in tent 1. And that's really weird because it's like, why would you name a specific tent?
Yeah, unless you knew that the tents were, like, numbered. And... But also there's, like, a bunch of tent 1s because there's a bunch of different units.
Yeah, but the thing that's interesting to me is, like, that I was thinking about is, like, okay, it wasn't tent 1, it was tent 8, but if you didn't know, like, if you weren't, like, someone who was actually going to the camp, you might assume that that would be tent 1 because it was on the end.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like, he could have thought it was tent 1, but, like, why would you even add in that part about tent 1?
Yeah, that's oddly
like,
specific.
why do you care what tent it is? Yeah. So it's really hard to say, but, yeah, basically, he's dead, so the world may never know. And, yeah, so, there are some photos that I have, like, in the notes that we'll probably post on Instagram, like a map of the camp, just to kind of get a better idea, and then the note that Denise wrote her mom, which is really sad. Don't recommend looking at it.
Flip past that part. Just, like,
skip past that one.
Swipe.
And then I also have a photo of the tents, which is actually, like, kind of interesting for no reason. Like, it's just interesting to see what the tent looked like. Just because it's, like, kind of hard to picture it until you see it.
I'm interested in this platform concept. I've never seen something like that before.
Yeah. As soon as you see it, you'll be like, oh, yeah. But then there's also a picture of the writing that was inside the cave wall as well, which I think is really interesting.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, that'll be cool.
And the bye-bye fools, like, what?
Oh my god. This case is horrific, but, like, I kind of love that quote. Like,
yeah, bye-bye
it's
fools.
separate from this case. If you didn't know it from the context of this case, like, bye-bye fools. Like...
That's how I'm going to end this episode. That's how we're ending every podcast from now on. Bye-bye, fools.
Yeah.
That's so bad. I'm so sorry. But, like, also it's funny because, like, why did he write that? And, like, why is it bye-bye? Why isn't it just, like, I don't know. It's just,
nothing makes sense. It's fine. But yeah, we will post those pictures. I think it'll be fun to kind of make a post for each episode, and then you guys can, like, comment on the Instagram post too, like, if you have any thoughts about the episode, and we could even have, like, do you think you did it, like, any other people that pop into your mind that you think could have been suspects, like,
or if there's ever information that we miss on a case, you can comment and be like, hey, did you see this? Because, like, there's always going to be something that we don't see.
Yeah, or if you're, like, super interested, then you watch videos about it after, and then you, like, hear something really crazy, and you're like, oh my god, like, please let us know, because I just get so invested in these cases, and then I like to, like, watch YouTube videos after, like, more about them and all that, so.
I know, like, I've watched so many videos on this case already, obviously, as I was, like, researching and everything, and went on these really obscure websites, which was, like, creepy in itself, because, like, okay, why is this a thing, side note, where, like, badly made websites are creepy?
Yeah, I feel that.
Like, poor HTML coding is creepy. Like, poor HTML scares the fuck out of me.
That's very you.
Yeah, it is. That's my aesthetic. But yeah, so, like, there's, like, some creepy websites, but yeah, like, if you look at the Wikipedia page, it's very brief. Like, it doesn't even mention Jack Schroff, the first suspect.
Dang.
So, like, it's really hard to find information about this case, which is so annoying. And, like, there's so many conflicting things that it literally was making me so mad. I had to, like, go back and change a bunch of stuff every time because, like, it was just... I feel like just so much of this case, because it happened in 1977, is, like... kind of like a game of telephone, where it's, like, getting passed down.
Documented. a lot of like he said,
and since
she
the
said.
internet wasn't like a thing, it's not like people were writing about it right then, like online.
Right. Yeah.
So
true.
like it's people now writing about it being like, well, this is what they said back then. But yeah, so definitely want to hear thoughts about specifically whether or not you think Jean did it and whether or not the note was a prank or if it was really from the killer. Because what are the fucking odds?
Right. Those are my two like biggest questions.
Me too. And then our Instagram is at Bloodline Podcast. So check that out. Give us a little follow. And we'll give you a little follow.
Yeah. And subscribe if you enjoyed this podcast.
Yeah. Whatever platform you're listening on, do a little thing. Press a button of some sort. I'm sure it'll be good for us. Press a button, but don't press pause, because I'm still talking here.
Hey, I'm talking
No, but yeah. I think on Apple Podcasts, you should give us 5 stars, because...
Because why not? Like, take a crazy chance, you know?
Like, just see, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't give us 5 stars by midnight, something bad's gonna happen.
Interact with us.
Like those chain mails, those chain mail
on
things.
TikTok, it's
oh
like,
my god, those were so scary.
Or like, this is like, okay, I'm sorry, I'm obsessed with TikTok now.
Okay,
but like,
Sabrina's a TikTok legend.
I'm sorry. But like on TikTok, it'll be like a TikTok that'll be like, interact with this TikTok. Or this will happen, but it's usually like something good.
Oh my god,
it's usually something
what?
good. But sometimes, like I've seen a couple.
Well, I've seen some of those where it's like, I've seen some of them where it's like, well, I see it mostly on Twitter. I'm more on Twitter, but it's like, retweet this and you'll get $100 tomorrow.
Dude,
and
the one I just saw was
why
like,
do I always
money will come
retweet
to you
those
if you like interact with this TikTok?
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah, I'm like, it doesn't work.
But then you're like, but maybe it will.
Like, but what is so what I'm gonna say right now is that if you give us 5 stars, money's coming your way. Good luck is coming your way, and you don't lose anything by just doing it, just taking the chance.
Yeah. I have a lot of love to
I
give.
will personally put good luck into your life. I will find you, and I will put good luck into your life.
I will find you, and I will.
This is a threat.
Good luck you.
You will be lucked. In a good way. Not a bad lucked, but a good lucked. But yeah, do the thing so that we can keep doing the thing.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm excited to prep my own case and get into this.
Yeah, I'm stoked for someone else to tell me about something. Yeah. Because I feel like I'm always the one babbling about, like, to my fiance, I'm like, there's this thing, blah, 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 this case. And he's always like, what?
Yeah, and
I'm always that person.
my boyfriend does not like true crime, so he's like, I don't want to know, don't tell me, it freaks me out. And so
yeah,
which,
like, guys, come on, just fuck. But I get it at the same time, because, like, sometimes I get a little spooked, not gonna lie.
I had to, like, make myself stop watching Criminal Minds for a while, but then I, like, relapsed and started watching it again.
I stopped after something dramatic happened. I'm not going to say what it was because I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'm just going to say when there have been multiple times where I've stopped watching Criminal Minds for like a week or 2 because I'm like boycotting it because I'm pissed about what happened. And I'm like, I can't even go back to that right now. Like, I can't even return to that. It's triggering.
Emotionally traumatizing, honestly.
Criminal Minds should sponsor us.
They really should.
That's not even like a thing, like a TV show sponsor. We're actually going to bring Matthew Gray Gubler on the show.
Okay.
He does direct some of the episodes.
I would actually die if that happened.
I would pee on my microphone.
Oh my god.
ASMR pee.
This is really derailing right now.
Yeah,
if we start talking about Matthew Gray Gubler, we're like, we need to reel it back in. Okay.
Get back on the train tracks.
Anyway.
The railroad tracks.
No, but yeah, I'm excited. We really want to have just kind of like a conversational type, like, true crime podcast where, like, we can kind of talk about it more. Because I feel like sometimes with Dateline, it's like they give a case and then it's like done and you're like, but wait. Like, I want to talk about this with someone. So this is us talking about it. Hopefully,
yeah, because
like,
they can never give their opinion on there because it's like legal situations.
Yeah.
And like,
so hopefully, like, we talk about things that like you might be thinking of as you're hearing it too, and it can just be fun.
Yeah, and the thing is, we'd be doing this even if we weren't recording it. So we might as well record it, because if there's someone out there who doesn't have a sister to talk to about true crime, you do.
Now we're your sisters, and Let's
Hi,
fucking do it.
sisters. Welcome back
Oh, no,
to
no,
my
no, no,
channel. James? No. But yeah, so follow us on the gram. We're gonna post on there letting you know when we post new episodes. We don't have a like a schedule right now as far as when we're posting, just because we just started. But since we don't have a schedule, we'll be posting on Instagram whenever we have a new episode uploaded. And definitely give us a little comment about what you think happened. Because honestly, I don't even know what happened. I don't even know what I think happened. So someone just tell me what to think, okay? Make a decision for me. But with that being said, I think that about sums it up.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. And
thank you.
We will talk to you later.
Yeah, next time you hear from us, Sabrina will be telling me about something probably really fucked up. And with that, all I say is, bye-bye, fools.